You have encountered the abstract definition of a function before, and so I wouldn't spend much time on it. We are just going to recall the definition so that some of the concepts that we are going to see will make sense. A function f from a set A to a set B is a subset S of the Cartesian product A cross B such that two conditions are satisfied. First, for every A in capital A, there exists an element B in capital B such that the pair A, B belongs to S. 2. If A, B and A, C are in S, then B is equal to C. The first property says that the function is defined for every element in A. And the second property says that for each value in A, there is only a unique value in B. And these two properties are captured by this abstract definition. You would have encountered functions from the set of real numbers to real numbers. Sometimes a subset of the set of real numbers to a subset of the set of real numbers. Here A is a subset of the set of real numbers and B is a subset of the set of real numbers. You have also encountered examples of functions from a finite set A to another finite set B. And finally, you have also seen examples of functions from a group to another group. So these are some examples of functions that you have already encountered. Now suppose we have a function, say f from R to R, given by f of x is equal to x. Say one of the simplest functions. How do we draw the graph of this function? For each point x, I am taking the point x comma f of x. See, I am taking x comma f of x, which is the point x comma x in this case. And I am marking all these points. And in this case, when you mark all these points, you get a straight line. And this is something that you have already seen. And this representation of the function is called a graph of the function. Now notice what you are doing. The graph actually is a subset. That means the graph as in the what you drew, the line that you drew is a subset of the Cartesian product R cross R. Namely, you are looking at the set x comma f of x such that x belongs to R. And this is a subset of the Cartesian product R cross R. Now we can generalize this concept to functions f from A to B. Let us see how this can be done. If you take a function f from A to B, the graph of this function f is the set that contains A comma f of A such that A belongs to capital A. Now notice something interesting. The graph is a subset of the Cartesian product, and similarly the function itself is a subset of the Cartesian product. And in some sense the function and the graph are one and the same. Now this might seem a bit confusing, so let us go a bit deeper. Initially functions were defined using an analytical expression or a formula like f of x equal to x squared. Later, for reasons we will not get into now, as it's a subject of another course, we require to define more general functions. While exploring how to give a more general definition of functions, the idea of a graph was also built into the definition of a function. And that is why you see both are very similar to each other. However, when you think of these two concepts, function and graph of function, you should think of it slightly differently. The graph often is a visual representation of the function, and it's better to separate these two notions slightly in your mind. Having refreshed the concept of a function, let us now come to the subject of this course, linear algebra. In this course, we will be interested in linear maps, and we will start with functions f from R2 to R2. We will of course later go to functions from Rn to Rm and even more general functions. But as of now, we will be focusing on functions f from R2 to R2. Now, from the abstract definition of function that we saw earlier, such a function f is a set S that is subset of R2 cross R2. And this set S will consist of all pairs a comma f of a such that a belongs to R2. Now notice how does a point A in R2 looks like. Okay, so if A belongs to R2, then A can be represented using two real numbers x comma y. Therefore, when we look at f of A, you should actually write f of A as f of x comma y. Now, because this writing is a little cumbersome, we sometimes express this f of x comma y as f of x comma y. And throughout the course, you will see me using this simpler notation instead of this more complicated notation. So for instance, if I write that f from R2 to R2 is given by the function f of x comma y is equal to x plus y comma x minus y, what I actually mean is that f of x comma y is equal to x plus y comma x minus y, or x comma y goes to x plus y comma x minus y, or the pair x comma y comma x plus y comma x minus y belongs to the set S that defines the function f. So these are three ways in which we can understand a function f from R2 to R2. Now recall what graph of f would be if f is a function from R2 to R2. We saw that graph of f was very similar to the function itself. It contained all points a comma f of a, where a belongs to the domain, and here the domain is equal to R2. So the graph of f is equal to set of all a comma f of a, where a belongs to R2. And this is a subset of R2 cross R2. Or in other words, R2 cross R2 is equal to R4. So the graph lies in R4. Now we can all visualize R2 or R3. But how do we visualize R4? We cannot visualize R4 as it is beyond our capability of seeing. We live in a three-dimensional world, and hence we cannot see anything beyond 3 dimensions. So R4 is something that we cannot visualize. Therefore, graphs are not very useful in analyzing functions f from R2 to R2, or in general f from Rn to Rm when n and m are greater than or equal to 2. So how will we visualize such functions? To visualize this function, we will look at the image of certain sets under the function f. More precisely, we will be interested in the image of geometrically interesting figures like lines, circles, etc. So that is how these things, how lines and circles get deformed, will give us some intuition about how the function behaves. So this will be our tool of visualizing such functions.